Welcome to the Wealth by Choice podcast. My name is Valerie Shira, and I'm a stay-at-home mom who turned entrepreneur. Each week, we bring you stories and wisdom from individuals who have broken the code to generating wealth. Thanks so much for being here with me today. Let's get started. All right, welcome to the Wealth by Choice podcast. Today I have with me Nico Salgado, and I'm really excited to introduce him. Nico has a BS in business marketing and management and a minor in economics. He also holds a master's degree in Spanish language education. He began investing in real estate in 2012 with a single family development project and has since transitioned into multifamily. His first large multifamily project was that of a general partner on a 194-unit portfolio in Columbus, Ohio. He assisted his team in a very profitable exit only after 20 months. He currently owns and operates 44 units in Central Florida. And he also hosts a monthly meetup group titled Multifamily Investor Network in New York City. Nico also hosts the Small Acts podcast, where he interviews industry leaders in multifamily. Nico firmly believes it only takes a small axe to build a lasting empire. Nico, it's great to have you here today.
Hey, Valerie, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you asking. I appreciate you taking the time, and let's do it. Let's rock.
For sure. So I met Nico, it's been a couple years ago, and I've been able to watch a lot of the stuff he's been doing and listening to his podcast, which was always fantastic. He adds a lot of value there. But Nico, maybe you can just kind of tell the listeners a little bit about your background and kind of what got you started down this whole road of, for you, it's real estate, but success in general.
Wow. So it's a long story. Well, so I've been teaching for 19 years now as a school teacher. I still teach. I'm a Spanish teacher in a middle school, which is chaos in itself, right?
I bet.
In 2012, when I did that first development project, there was a couple things that happened that year. Number one, that opened my eyes up to what is possible and what can be accomplished with, our lives, right? I didn't want to live an ordinary life. I wanted to have a life where I could do more things than the average or the standard, way of living, right? So I started a small development project in a country that I loved. I found this spot in Nicaragua where there was plenty of beach, plenty of surf, which I love to do, and a really untouched environment. And I saw the potential of this place to become similar to that of Costa Rica. If you know anything about Costa Rica, it's blown up in the past 20, 30 years, and I was assuming that Nicaragua was going to do the same thing. And it really has blown up. However, my interest in Nicaragua was the lifestyle, right? To get away, to be able to create a life of travel and surf with my family, right? So 2012 we did that. And also in 2012, my ex-wife and I, we bought a house, and that house within 2 months got flooded from Hurricane Sandy and up here in New York, and we ended up having to knock that house down and rebuild it. So we did 2 development projects over the course of a few years. It was our single family house here and a single family down in Nicaragua. And I just loved the fact that, after the development was completed, we had instant equity, right? So for example, I was all in with my project down in Nicaragua for about $60,000, $65,000 maybe, and we sold it for $100,000, right? Same thing with our property here in New York. We bought it for $390,000, and today, after rebuilding it from insurance money, today it's appraising at like $700 something. So just the power of real estate really snagged me, and I was hooked, right? Come 2015, I had my daughter, and things were tight in the house. We had to really, I was working a lot of different jobs just to try to make ends meet because my ex-wife wasn't working. And I really had to, become clear on what my long-term vision was. After working in my school teaching, I started a business in my basement as a woodworker. I was teaching teachers at night. And still I'm working as a surf instructor and beach manager in the summer times. Before school, I created a program for students where they can come in and get exercise and do meditation and things like that. So I was doing so many different jobs, and I was coaching as well, a few different sports during the year. so many different jobs that I felt that it was not going to be a long-term solution to our current monetary financial crisis that we were dealing with. So I said I really enjoyed real estate. I found value in it when we did those two projects. Let's continue that. So come 2019, and I dropped my coaching jobs. I dropped all the extracurricular jobs, and I went all in on real estate. And that's when you and I joined the Jake and Gino community, and then subsequently the Make It Happen Mastermind.
Well, that's awesome. Like listening to that, that really shows me a very similar path that a lot of successful people have. They're really creative and they're trying a bunch of different things in the beginning. And some things work out, some things don't. There's a lot of failures. There's a lot of things that most entrepreneurs start that they're just either dabbling or they're trying this, they're trying that, and they're trying that. And then when they find that area that is either that sweet spot or they feel like, okay, I really want to pursue this, they don't give up. They pick that area, they go in 110%. Sometimes, you might have to drop some other things, but I'm really noticing that. And I find that interesting that that's the same with your story. You're trying coaching, you're doing all different things with your teaching and side jobs just to make ends meet. And then when you get into real estate, you realize that this is something that you could see yourself doing long term. And I mean, I'll have to say, I mean, I know just from knowing you personally, you've been all in the multifamily space, real estate space. And it's been years that you've just given it 110%. And I think that's an amazing thing that people, might not realize that, you may start out with a bunch of different things, but eventually you find that one thing that you just really go in 100%.
Yeah, thanks, Valerie. I appreciate that recognition because I really do put everything into this, and I realized that after working so many different jobs, I could do it, right? It's just not sustainable. I was physically working, doing physical work from all hours of the day, even through the night, many nights, and it just was not sustainable. So I knew I was going to burn out. I knew I needed something that was going to be paying me, right? And real estate will eventually, once you get it going, pays us, right? And that's what we want. We want to build these little armies of income, right? These little different streams of income that are going to be paying us. So if we're going to work our butts off, we might as well be working our butts off for something that will pay dividends in the end.
For sure. Now, I mean, I have to say, being a teacher, full-time teacher during the day, real estate investor by night or all other hours is probably not common. What kind of kept you going or kind of pointed you in that direction? Because that's really not the typical side hustle for a school teacher.
Yeah, I do it all day as well during school. I get, different prep periods during my classes. I'm like, like I said, I've been teaching almost 20 years now, so I can kind of handle both. It's not typical, but I realize that, again, I'm just with the pension that I'm going to get, it's not going to float me. I got divorced, and I have my daughter 50% of the time, so I'm paying for a lot of stuff for her, but I also have child support. And I've kept my house, and I'm not going to have a big retirement, so I need something else. So what motivates me to keep going and make this work is, number one, I love real estate, so I'm excited about it. And number two, I know that it's a means to an end, right? So if you're working blindly on something, not knowing where it's going to take you, it's a lot harder to get up every day. But if I know that this is going to take me somewhere and provide a nice life for me and my daughter, I am apt to work a lot harder. And again, I just get excited. So the first thing I do when I wake up is like, I get excited about what I'm going to do, and I start writing down exactly what I'm going to do and what can I work on today to move the needle. And I genuinely get excited. It's like when I used to get ready for a vacation or go surfing on a surf trip or something, I would get so excited. This is how I feel about real estate now. So it's all my energy and motivation is going towards it.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, and you kind of touch on what I think Grant Cardone talks about. You think the 9 to 5, you complain about it. Some people complain about a 9 to 5 when, as an entrepreneur, we're working 5 to 9. You're working way more hours. It's all day, from sunup to sundown, many times beyond that. And it's a commitment you have to make. And sure, it's a sacrifice. And some people will be like, well, I don't want to do that. I'm not willing to do that. Well, the way that I'm sure you and I both see it is, sure, it is a sacrifice. There's a lot of things that you're either giving up or you're doing without during this phase. but we're looking at it really in a long time picture, years down the road. What's the bigger sacrifice in the long term, not being able to retire or have a life until 65 and then having to, worry about whether your retirement's going to run out. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's not the lifestyle for everybody. I don't feel like I'm sacrificing, although we can go over everything that I don't do, which is a lot of what the majority of people that I know and associate with do. I don't do those things, and it's just, again, it's for some reason it wasn't hard. I just knew that, and I still know that I'm on a mission, and it's like, and I have something to live for, something to work for, and you know, I know that within years, a few years, I'm going to be in a way different spot, and I've already seen it. I'm in a way different spot than a lot of my friends are, just 3 years ago when I began. So I don't know, but I'm excited every day, and I did sacrifice, and I do sacrifice a lot. I do have some bad habits, I guess, that I like. I guess not bad habits, but what do you call them? Like guilty pleasures, right? So like at night, I'll tell you, like, I love, if I'm done with my day, and like you said, it could be 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. If I'm done at night and I lay down in bed, I spend 10 minutes to a half an hour just scrolling through TikTok. That's my guilty pleasure, right? I know it's not necessarily healthy for me, but I do, when I'm doing it, I get to relax, I get to decompress. But I also, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about how I can use this platform too, how I can, do something a little bit different than the people that are on TikTok now, and create my brand and show my brand awareness a little bit differently. So I'm always working. It's not really, I'm never not working. And I don't consider it work. I consider it just part of my mission, that I'm on this mission for the next X amount of years, and I'm going to enjoy it. And it might not last forever, my enthusiasm, but it's been burning like mad for the past 3 years, and I don't see it burning out anytime soon.
That's awesome. And hearing you look at yourself, judging from your past, is awesome, because it really makes me think of the book The Gap and the Gain, Dan Sullivan, and how it can be really discouraging if you're constantly comparing yourself to people in front of you and people who are moving forward as you're moving forward. Do you feel like that has really helped you? Do you get discouraged if you think, man, why am I not there yet? Or why am I not, closing more deals or whatever? Or do you just typically compare yourself to where you were yesterday or last year?
No, it's tough. That's such a tough thing, Valerie. You see people closing deals all the time, and it's like, well, why am I not doing it? Am I putting in all the work? Am I not putting in the right work? What am I doing wrong? Should I change markets? I doubt myself. Am I there? All these doubts come to my mind, and all these insecurities come to my mind when I'm seeing other people do well, and I have to constantly ground myself and remind myself that I am on my own journey. My journey is very different than others, and the way it has played out, surprisingly, is extremely well for my life. It fits my life well, because if I would have closed certain deals prior, it wouldn't have worked out the same. And you know what? This is my journey, and there are lessons that I need to learn that are different than other people's lessons that they need to learn. And it doesn't mean that 10 years from now, I'm going to be less successful than that person who's closing a million deals, right? We're just taking a different path to get there. And I think that, my success is going to be different than anybody's success. And I am on my own journey, but I constantly need to ground myself, because that social media bug is everywhere. And it's like, it's biting us, saying, hey, look at what this person did. How come you're not doing it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that book, The Gap and the Gain, I need to re-listen to it. I love that book, and it does help ground myself as well.
Yeah, for sure. And something else that has really helped me and Jonathan, because I'm a little like that. I'll be like, Jonathan, they're doing this. What am I doing wrong? And I'll reevaluate. And sometimes I'll realize that's actually sucking energy out of me. It's a drain. And when I get in that position, I start to think, okay, what am I doing this for? What do I want multifamily for? Well, it's for my family. It's for this. It's for that. What are some of the goals that we have? And then I'll start looking at them, and some of the things we could do now. What's stopping us from doing something fun and special and creating those memories with the kids? Well, it's just making the time and putting it on the calendar. Well, let's do that. And so you don't have to wait to live. You can really live and experience a lot of those bucket list things too, because if you boil them down, it's the experience you're after. It's that quality time with, family, friends. And so, when I stop and I'll think, well, why do I want to be up there? It's because, whatever these reasons, whether they're family, friends, or whatever, I'll try and put some things on my calendar so that I can feel and experience the stuff that I'm striving for. And then the other thing is too, I'll look behind and I'll think, okay, 6 months ago I would not be doing what I'm doing right now. There's no way. And so I see that I am making progress, and it really helps encourage. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Something else I wanted to ask you about was networking. You host it's monthly, right? It was a monthly meetup. How has that played a role, just meeting new people and networking in general? How has that played a role in, your success and your journey?
Yeah, Valerie, I'm going to share a little bit with you. So prior to joining Jake and Gino, I didn't have a Facebook account, and I wasn't big on networking or putting myself out there on social media, and I didn't like or enjoy any of it. And I didn't believe in it. I felt like I could do everything on my own, but I was completely wrong, right? And this is, again, part of my journey, right? Had I learned earlier that networking and building a team and creating these relationships was going to be more beneficial, maybe I would have started earlier, right? So back to your original question, yeah, we started a meetup. I started a meetup in March of 2020 was my first meetup, and it was an in-person meetup, and I just had like my aunt come and a couple of friends, and I was terrified, and I made a presentation, and after that at night, I said, I'm not going to do it like this anymore. I'm going to do it differently, because the world shut down, number one, and then number two, I was like, I just don't like presenting to people, even though I'm a teacher, even though I make presentations all the time, I just don't enjoy it. So I ended up switching to the online platform, and I ended up getting people to come present it at them, and then Joseph joined me that next time, and we do it together now. So what the networking through our meetup has brought me is, aside from good friends and relationships, right, has just opened up my world to a lot of opportunities as far as deal flow, as far as, access to anything from underwriting tools to like brokers, right, or anything from like finding a new lawyer to like finding, how to somebody who's going to get our flood insurance done for us. You know what I mean? So it opens your whole world up to just a wide array of different people. Now, it also helped us get some LPs, right? I mean, people that would invest with our projects, and also, regular general partners are what we find in these meetups. So the meetup has been excellent for building relationships, for getting access to, any types of resources we might need as active investors, as well as fun. I call it fun now because I'm not presenting. Joseph and I don't present. We just typically get somebody to present a topic that is pertinent to our listeners and our audience, and then we hang out. We kind of host it and ask questions, and on top of that, we get a big list of emails, right? So that goes into our email campaign, and we use those for our drip campaigns and things like that. So it also kind of gives us some sort of I guess, authority in the space, right? Because we're hosting a meetup, we look like authority figures, and it's been wonderful.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. I mean, when I get on social media, the ones that I see the most often, you subconsciously trust them. You just kind of, you don't really think about it, but they're planting seeds that they're an authority in the space. And then especially I've noticed, when they host things, or they're in charge of events, or they're consistently going to meetups, you see them around, even if they don't host it, but they're just consistently there. You just think, okay, well, they know what they're doing, they're here all the time, they're consistent. You just start to see those characters in them, and you trust them, and you start building a relationship with them. And I've noticed very similar things as well with what the networking that I have been doing. To kind of touch on social media as well, it's kind of what I'm kind of alluding to as part of networking. Do you have any other thoughts as far as like using social media?
Yeah, it's important. Yeah, it's very important. And I had a very strategic way of setting it up until my Instagram account got hacked or whatever, and I lost it. But again, you're out there, you're in front of people, and you have to be in front of people. You have to have brand recognition. You got to have recognition for who you are, or else people are not going to want to. If people don't know you, they're not going to want to partner with you or invest with you. Or it's like, who is this person? This person might have have done 10 deals last year, but if you've never seen them on social media, you don't really validate it. It's not validated or truthful in your mind. So it's unfortunate in this day and age that we need social proof. We need to see people getting things done and doing things online. You have to be present. You have to have that social media presence, right? It's just so necessary. But we can also look at it as an opportunity, right? It's free advertising, essentially. It just costs a little bit of our time and some thought to just put together some stories of what we're doing and let people follow our journey with us. Some people are inspired by it. Some people watching are inspired by it. They want to do it, then want to do their own thing. So that's a positive way to look at it. It's also fun to share some stories about, what I'm doing, and as well as my personal life. I like to share my personal life too, which I feel is extremely important, so people can get a better feel of who I am as a real person besides the investor.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, like as far as real estate goes, I mean, you've closed multiple deals. You've been, GP. I don't know. Have you been LP in deals, or you usually the GP?
Well, LP in the deals that I have closed as
Okay.
a GP.
Okay. But anyways, what would you say to somebody just starting out if they do want to go in the real estate space, if they're looking at, multifamily, what would be the best way for somebody new to get into it? Should they try and get in on GP or do LP first? What are your thoughts on that?
Both, and every situation is different. I kind of want to start a little program of this. I want to help people get started. There's a variety of ways that people should get started or can get started. And it depends on their personal situation and their enthusiasm and how much time they have. There's a lot of factors that are going to go into it. But I really, really firmly believe that everybody needs education for at least 6 months. Consume as much education as possible through books, podcasts, networking, right? You have to meet people. You have to get face to face with people, hear what they're talking about. That has to happen. Whether or not you get into a deal day one, just as a cash, putting some money in as an LP, or, at the end of 6 months, you need to educate, and you need to consistently and constantly be educating. I think that education is paramount to anything if you want to be successful as a real estate investor. And you can get into a deal day one, right? It's possible. If you have money, you can do it. If you find a deal, you can do it, but it's going to be harder to take that route if you don't have money. So the easiest way to get into a deal, if you have some money, start as an LP, or if you have plenty of money, you can jump in on the GP team. A team might let you in that way, and just kind of take you under their wing and coach you. You could see behind the scenes what they do and how they operate and do asset management. But regardless of how you get in, you're going to have to be educating.
Yeah, 100%. I love that you use that as the foundation because, when you're putting chunks of money into something, you really want to understand the asset. You really want to understand what's happening, the numbers and all that fun stuff. So yeah, great place to start. Now, you mentioned books. Are there any specific, either real estate or just personal development, growth books in general that you would recommend or that you have enjoyed reading?
A lot. So I listened.
That's usually the struggle, which one to pick.
I know. I'm on Audible now, and I haven't read a book in a long time. It's just I don't have the time. So I use Audible when I'm on the road, when I'm working out, when I am in my wood shop, when I'm doing other things, right? I can't dedicate, I know I'm not supposed to be multitasking technically, but I can't dedicate much time to sitting down and reading. So in order for me to get through a book, it's just going to take too long. And I like to consume education and information quickly. I'm just kind of impatient at times. So I'm going to say, so I love a lot of books. I'm going to stop though, and I'm going to talk about Dr. Joe Dispenza's books. And this is not about real estate at all. This is all about mindset. And he's got I read all of it or listened to all of his books within like a few weeks span. I was going through some challenges mentally, and he was my solution, right? So I've been meditating for a long time. Honestly, since I was 14, I started meditating. When my parents were getting divorced, there was some challenges, and I didn't know how to deal with it, and I ended up finding my dad's meditation tapes back in the early 90s, and I was meditating, and it really helped me, right? So I began meditating, and I found myself to be, found that to be something that really helps me. And this past summer, I found Dr. Joe Dispenza's books, and he has these guided meditations that are absolutely incredible. And his way of explaining what is going on in your body and how it is science, how we can control our environment, essentially, how we can people use the term manifest, but we can really manifest our future and attract things to us, right? He got me to that level. So I don't think I would have gotten this last deal done without, listening to those books. And I'm a firm believer in his teachings now. And one of the books, if people wanted to look it up, is called You Are the Placebo. So it's essentially where you can heal yourself, whether that be physically or emotionally. You have the power, we all as humans have the power within us to heal ourselves. I got a little bit existential there, Valerie. A little spiritual, a little scientific. I don't know what it is, but I truly believe that this can help so many people, his teaching.
Well, that's awesome. Well, going off of that, I want to also ask kind of like mindset. Like, did you have specific mindset shifts that you had to go through? I definitely did. And there were just different key things that, like, once that light bulb went off, everything kind of shifted. Do you have any that stand out for you?
Yes, yes and no. So this is part of our journey, right? If somebody who didn't have the same mindset, so I have a lot of limiting beliefs about people wanting, about getting people to invest in a deal with me, right? And other people don't have those same limiting beliefs. So their journey is different than my journey, right? So it's taking me longer to get past this and change my mindset that there is an abundance of money and that people need to place capital. People want to find deals. People want to work with me. These are things that I had to overcome. And it took me years to overcome. And it's something I'm still going through. It's just part of my journey, my personal journey. And I know that with time and with work and with focus on it and looking at myself and analyzing myself and introspection, right? Looking at how I see things and then overcoming these barriers little by little, I can absolutely change my mindset. But to your specific question of did I ever see like a huge shift? Maybe. After listening to Joe Dispenza, I definitely saw a different shift, and I converted my fear to excitement and energy and positive movement and momentum. That got me through this deal and made it happen, and it's a phenomenal deal. I'm excited we did it because I was on the verge of like backing out, and it was because of my limiting beliefs and my mindset that I can't get it done and I'm not good enough and who's going to invest with me kind of thing, and I had to shift that. And I had to become the person I needed to be to make it happen. So that was one. And then another one when I turned 40. So in I turned 40 and this was it was January 2020, I guess. Yeah. 2020. So I turned 40 and it was almost instantaneous. I don't know what happened. Maybe it's just my lower testosterone or whatever, but I was like, I am 100% dedicated to providing for my family and making sure that I don't care what I have to do. This is my focus. And it was like, there was no question about it. It's just something that switched in me. Don't know.
That's awesome. Yeah, something I think really switched in my brain was when I read the book Mindset. I don't remember. It's Carol. I cannot remember her last name.
Dweck.
Dweck. Okay.
Yeah.
When I read that book and one of my mentor talked a lot about it, I didn't realize that I had a fixed mindset and that I really believed I could not change. I really thought this is me. I'm not capable of learning new things. I'm a stay-at-home mom. That's all I'll ever be. Like I had a lot of them, like in a lot of different areas. I truly believed this is who I am. Take it or leave it. I can't change. And when I read that book and I listened to my mentor talk a lot about it, I started thinking, okay, what if I could? What if I could change? What if I could get on these Zoom calls and talk to these investors? What would my life be like? What if, I could try and learn something new and maybe start a business? Like my mind just started turning and it really started shifting all these little areas, and it just started that ball rolling into the place where I truly believe that you can do. I know it sounds cliche, but you can do anything if you put your mind to it, and if you are determined to change and become that person, even if it's taking little tiny steps every day. I've just seen that in my life and in my husband's life and my kids' lives, trying to teach that to them that you can change. You choose who you are. And if you have the growth mindset, that really, to me, that was one of the biggest mindset shifts that I went through. That was kind of like an aha moment.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I love that book. That's one of the books that helped me as well, as along with The Millionaire Mind was a great one too, which helped me as well. Awesome books, and it's funny, we growing up, a lot of us think we don't truly understand ourselves. We don't have a fixed mind. I don't have a fixed mind, but yeah, if we look at it, we kind of do have a fixed mind. I'm open to anything, not really.
Right, right. For
Cool.
sure. Well, I'm kind of winding down here, but I did want to ask you, do you know of anything specific? Are there common things that you see that really stop people from success?
Yeah, I think it's mindset, It really is. And I know we're kind of harping on that subject, but it really is mindset. It's because we all have the potential to do really anything we want. And this is, I want to show my daughter that this is what is possible in the world too. You can do whatever you want to do. But what stops people is that we don't feel that way. And then we surround ourselves with people that kind of keep us in that same mindset of, no, we don't need to go, start a business. We don't need to be successful. We don't need any more money than this, but we're going to sit here and talk about people that do have more money. We surround ourselves with the wrong people, and then we just become, it's a cycle of just perpetuating, like staying in that same mindset, and we can't change. If we could change our mind, if everybody could change their mindset first, there are resources in the world and people in the world that are ready to help us achieve whatever we want to achieve.
Agreed, 100%. Well, Nico, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know you're busy, but I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today, to share your knowledge and the stuff that you have gained along the way, and just share it with our listeners. Is there any specific way that people can get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you?
Yeah, thank you, Valerie. And I want to say I am honored that you asked me to be on here. I had an awesome conversation. I'm all pumped up and jazzed up right now. So if people want to call me now. Yeah, I'm all pumped up. I love this stuff. So the best way to get in touch with me, I guess, is go to my website, and then you can book a call with me. You'll find my phone number, email, whatever. So it's smallactscommunities.com. Smallacts, communities.com.
All right. Well, thanks so much. It's been a pleasure having you today. I hope you have a fantastic week. Thank you for joining us today. I'm so grateful that you took the time to invest in yourself and to learn with me today. If you're interested in joining a group of like-minded people, I want to personally invite you to our free networking group where you can make connections and build relationships with people who are working together to generate wealth. Just click the link that is included in the show notes, and I hope to see you there.